Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Cold Hard Sports Talk with your hosts, Matty B and Woodsy.
Alrighty, boys, time for our interview today, and we've got a special guest, currently the head coach of the Tisdale Trojans in the Saskatchewan U18 AAA Hockey League, formerly of the Flin Flon Bombers and Battleford's North Stars, and the College of St. Scholastica in the NCAA. Also played a little bit with the Moose Jaw Warriors of the U18 AAA League in Saskatchewan. This is Dennis Kubat, a guy who I've interviewed a number of times. So now we get to bring him on the podcast. Denny, how's it going?
It's going good, Matt. Thanks. I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Well, we appreciate you coming on because we know you've got some good stories. But first off, congratulations to you because you are a new dad. So congratulations from us to you.
I appreciate that. He turns 5 months tomorrow. So we gave him his first food tonight. So every day is a new day, but we're enjoying every minute of it.
Time flies. First food, what was it?
I think it was some kind of oat cereal or something.
Oh.
That's what the wife has it all figured out there.
Oh,
I just
okay.
go along.
Are you getting much sleep these days then?
Yeah, he's been really good. Yeah, we've got quite a bit of sleep here, so I can't complain at all from stories I've heard from a few of my buddies and when they've had babies. So no Jones, he's doing good, sleeping well, smiling. He's a happy little guy.
That's good. That's good. Well, talk a little bit about your hockey career as a whole. You grew up in Tisdale, but you moved around a little bit as a kid playing hockey, right?
Yeah, you betcha. My dad was the manager of the credit union, so I was born in Tisdale. We lived in Birkdale though, so the guys always go back to the rink there sometimes and laugh at my kind of grade 1-2 pictures on the wall there. I got this sweet mullet, I guess. They're coming back now though, because I teach grade 9 and all these young kids all have the mullets and the big aviator shades or whatever they're called now. So but yeah, we lived in Birkdale till I was grade 2, and then we made the move to a town called Kyle, Saskatchewan. So that's where I played quite a bit of my minor hockey in Kyle. Great hockey town, small, 500 people, but they just had the minor hockey there. And obviously being that young, you love the Kyle Elk senior team. If you guys ever look them up or don't know much about them, they're always pretty successful. And then grade 8, I moved to Outlook, Saskatchewan, and ended up living there. Family's still there. They're hoping to make the trip actually down Tisdale, Melfort area here. I think they're almost sold their house here, and they're gonna hopefully they want to buy in this area a little closer to myself. And my sister lives in Flin Flon still, so can't really get that close to Flin Flon besides living right in there. So I guess Melfort's probably the closest to it. So yeah, I've had a few stops along the way in my minor hockey career, but I've enjoyed each place and just enjoyed meeting all the new people that you come upon in the hockey world.
Your last year of U15 AA, 30 goals, 65 points in 26 games, not a big deal. Get drafted to the WHL, just that season and then getting drafted. How cool was that to actually get drafted into the WHL at the time?
Yeah, no, it was quite an experience. I know, even I don't think I'm that old, but even back then, you didn't have the Twitter and all the social media, so you didn't get all the hype, I guess, that there is now around it. But so I talked to a bunch of teams on the phone. I had no idea if I was going 4th round, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or who knows when. But no, it was a cool experience. Just I was at school that day, just getting the call, and actually, I think I went 76th or 74th, and my other buddy from Outlook went 2 picks before me, so it was pretty cool. And we're best buddies. He was groomsman, best man actually at my wedding, so it was pretty neat experience to go 2 picks for him, and we ended up playing together in Moose Jaw. And then it was crazy, his 20-year-old year, he didn't make it in the dub, and he ended up playing with me in Flin Flon. So full circle there for sure.
Yeah, 74th overall by the Brandon Wheat Kings. So there you go.
You look at that draft though, Matty, I'm like the only one that didn't even play in the dub in that draft.
Really? I didn't even take a second to look.
No, correct. There was, yeah, everyone else I think played with the Wheat Kings except me.
In their draft class. Well, I'm just going to take a look. So Gilbert Brulé was the first overall pick that year. That's
Correct.
a pretty good guy to go first overall. Devin Setaguchi a little bit later.
Famous
not a
Tabor,
big,
Alberta boy.
and not a big deal. 7th overall was Carey Price. So you're in the same draft as Carey Price. How does that feel?
Yeah, I can live with that. Eh?
And then after that, you decide to go play for Moose Jaw. Was there a thought you wanted to come back home to play in Tisdale for the Trojans, or was Moose Jaw kind of the ones that were coming for you? What was the AAA decision like, in those years?
Yeah, no. I guess at 15, I think I had the dream like everyone else. I wanted to play AAA, and that was the be end all. And I ended up trying out, and Beardy's had a good team at that time. And I also tried out. Yeah, my goal was to play in Tisdale. I always wanted to play here. I love the small town atmosphere, and I didn't make the team at 15 and thought I had to play AAA. I was this drafted guy, so it would be the end of the world if I didn't play AAA. So I ended up playing in Moose Jaw, and it worked out really well with my good buddy there that got drafted, like I said, a couple picks ahead of me, actually ended up living with me in Moose Jaw. So it worked out good that way. But I always tell parents and guys that I recruit that at the end of the day, like if you're not playing at 15, it's okay. And you have a chance. That's one of my regrets when I tell them I wish I would have waited another year and played the football, basketball, volleyball, played those sports, and then ended up going to the exact place that I really wanted to go, instead of maybe settling on a team just because you think at 15, hey, I have to play. Why not? Hindsight, I should have played midget AA, would have played a ton, would have played all the special teams, and would have been able to develop and go to that place that I really wanted to go to.
Sorry. So you go to, and I mean, the numbers, you look at the numbers look really good there. Did it just happen to be the situation in Moose Jaw that, you're able to succeed there and put up some really good numbers in those years?
Yeah, like my first year going there, we had one vet and we had 19 rookies. So I got the opportunity, I guess, to play a bigger role than maybe I expected at the time. So at 15, you're thankful to be having a chance to play on the special teams and play an important role, play at the end of the game. So yeah, in hindsight, it worked out. It worked out definitely, and I really enjoyed my 3 years there. The school was awesome. The teachers were great. I have a great billet who still sends me gifts and birthday gifts and Christmas gifts, you name it, throughout the year. And every time I'm in Moose Jaw coaching, she's there early talking to me. She stays after the games to talk to me. So I'm appreciative of everything that ended up working out in Moose Jaw.
What was, how's playing in Moose Jaw? Because at the time they would have played in the crushed can. How cool was that ring? Did it feel historic at the time?
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I guess when there's only 100 fans and it's pretty quiet in there when you got a AAA game going on. But one of the best perks was that we got to go to every WHL game. We got to go in free and had our seats. So it was pretty cool. I got to watch some pretty good players. I can remember guys like Dion Phaneuf was an absolute beast in Red Deer at the time, and they had unbelievable teams those years. And even the guy like Nigel Dawes, I think he had 50 goals in Kootenay the year that I watched. So guys like that, it was pretty neat to see those guys and kind of give you an idea what it takes to get to that next level when you're that young and you're just in awe of those guys. Plus we got to watch the Warriors went on to practice. They were on the ice before us every time. So you got to watch like the Thomas Fleischmans and the Cal Brodziaks and the Johnny Boychucks of the world. And it was pretty neat to just see their practice habits and see everything that they're doing and how successful lots of them ended up.
And your last year playing in Moose Jaw there, 47 points, 33 games, like good season. Like, was there a thought to go to the WHL, or were you thinking junior A and SJHL the whole way and kind of thinking you wanted to go to that route eventually?
I think, after my grade 11 year, when I didn't make Brandon, it was pretty funny. After when I was in Brandon in my grade 11 year, it was the inter-squad game, and I ended up scoring a goal in the inter-squad game. So I was pretty pumped to go. And then I got the big interview in that, and the the guy was like, "Hey, Dennis, how's it going to feel to be with the Wheat Kings this year?" So I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, I'm going to make this team." So I was all pumped going into this meeting with, I think it was McCrimmon at the time, and I was all pumped walking in, and then I got the news that I was going home. So it was a little bit of a shocker there, but so after that, I think your grade 12 year, my marks were okay, I guess, not unbelievable, but kind of just started focusing on your SATs and going back and having a good grade 12 year and kind of keeping your options open if I wanted to go SJBC, AJ, and I just knew if I was successful and had a good grade 12 year, it would open some doors for me. And I thought that at that time it might be better to try and go to that scholarship route.
And you go to the Battlefords North Stars. What drew you there and brought you to Battlefords?
Yeah, they I think it was Brent Sotner was the coach then, and yeah, he kind of recruited me. I liked what he was saying. He was talking about giving me lots of opportunities. I knew they were going to be a little bit of a younger team, so I thought that would be a perfect fit. I had a little bit of offers elsewhere, nothing too crazy. So going in there, I thought I'd get a good opportunity to play, and went up there after the year, got to know the guys a little bit, got to know the billet, and it seemed like a good fit. So yeah, that's kind of, I decided on there.
And you get traded partway through the year to Flin Flon, and I believe there's a really good story that goes along with this.
Yeah, frick, Maddie. It's ironic though. It's funny because like my grandparents lived there, my aunts, my uncles. Like if you go there, McKean's Trucking is big there. They're a huge sponsor, and that's like my mom's maiden name's McKean. So yeah, so they were all excited at the time. But at that year, I think we were good. We were first in the league. We had an unbelievable record. I wasn't playing a ton. They switched coaches actually. Like Sotner went to the Regina U of R, and then Glenn Watson came in and he made some deals and whatnot and got a lot older, and they were kind of going for it that year. There was me and his name's Barrett Penner. We're the only two 18-year-olds left. So come trade deadline, I'm thinking, okay, they got to keep some young guys to build for the future here. And yeah, I wasn't playing a lot, but the guys there were unbelievable guys and just the most fun I ever had in hockey. And like I said, I didn't even play much, but it was just the atmosphere and that winning culture that you just enjoy going to the rink every day, no matter what. And they treated the rookies, they treated us really good. So it was a great experience there. So come January 10th, trade deadline, that night, nothing happens. Wake up in the morning, pretty excited that I'm still with the North Stars. Phone rings, I guess around 9:30. Billet answers it, comes downstairs, is crying. So I'm like, oh God, what's going on here? And then they're like, yeah, it's North Stars coach on the line, and he wants to talk to you. So I get on the phone, and he's just like, hey, Dennis, can you come meet me at the rink? And so I go into the rink and just praying, please don't be Flin Flon, please don't be Flin Flon. As they were near the bottom, and I don't know, there's always, at the time, they didn't have the rep they had now, or they weren't as successful. So it's just like the bottom feeder. It's almost a joke. Hey, you're going to play bad, you're going to get traded to Flon. So on the way to the rink, I'm just praying that, and I turned the radio on. I guess I shouldn't have, but I did. And the radio guy says, hey, the North Stars have made a trade with the Flin Flon Bombers, but the players aren't yet notified, so we can't give out any names. So I'm going to the rink, and so I know what's coming now. So get into the office, and yep, there you go. Glenn Watson tells me I'm traded to Flon. I broke down right on the spot, was crying, and I couldn't hold it in, and it was tough at the time. And like I said, I built those good relationships with those guys, but it's funny how things work out. I go there and for 2.5 years and absolutely loved it. Loved everything about it. The coaches, just the community, you name it. It was a great experience. And in the end, I don't regret it. At the time, obviously I was really disappointed, but it's crazy how those things end up working out.
Was Mike Regan the coach at the time there? Because he's been there for a while. Was he there when you got there? Did he come a little bit later?
Yeah, he came. It was Doug Stokes that was there for my 18 and 19-year-old year. And then when I turned 20, then Regs, that was Regs' first year as head coach.
you have any good Mike Regan stories? Because I know he's a character.
Yeah, he's quite a character. Yeah. I remember one night we played a little prank on him when because he was pretty young when I was 20. I think he was only like 32 or 33. I don't know, maybe not even. And what happened? I think he was out late the night before, and the boys got heard wind of this, that he was at the bar late. So we were on the bus and we're all just kind of giving him like the stink eye and being like, what's going on? Like just kind of ignoring him and saying like, well, we got 10 o'clock curfew, but you can go out all night. So like our trainer, his name's Woody, and he was kind of going along with the prank. He's like, hey, yeah, the boys are mad at you here. Like they don't think it's fair. So we got on the bus and we're all just quiet and just staring at him, and Regs is just ready to explode. And then we finally just told him the news and just started laughing at him. He's like, oh boys, we were close. I was gonna give it to you guys. You don't know how hard I work and all the hours I put in. I just got to let off some steam and just kept going on and on. It's funny as you look back and we can tell those stories with them. Like Regs and I actually just talked to him the other day. We stay in good contact. He's a awesome resource for me to communicate with, me being a young coach and him having the experience it's just a guy to relate to. And he does a lot to help me with recruiting and building my program here in Tisdale.
I've had a lot of great conversations with Regs before too. So that's a great story to hear.
Yeah. Ask him about his jersey when I was 20, and he was just, and his jersey at his house one night. Just say that to him and see what he says.
Okay. Well, he's someone we want to get on the podcast eventually.
Yeah, there you go. I'll be a special guest and interview him.
And so you're a 19-year-old season in Flin Flon. You put up over a point per game, 30 goals. But the number that stuck out to me was 134 penalty minutes. What were you doing?
Those are the days, Maddie, when if you got like we talk about it, they're all like, oh, like the guys here, like, oh, coach, were you a tough guy or what? But like if you get in a fight, you'd always get a 5 and a 10. I only think I got maybe 3 fights that year. And you get all these 10s or maybe chirping the ref a little too much or little things like that. And those get all added on to your PIM list. So it makes me look a lot tougher than I really was.
So you weren't, a goon going out there every game trying to find somebody to fight, eh?
No, not at all, Maddie. I wish I had some good fighting stories, but sorry.
And so I remember when you and I had been met very early, you had 9 goals in 12 games in one playoff run with the Bombers, your first year there. You had a hat trick in like the Survivor Series game or the first round game. You were hyping yourself up, telling me about this. Tell us about it.
Yeah, you betcha. You got to get Manor loves telling this story, I guess, because just talking to Manor, I've probably heard it 3 or 4 times. Like Daryl Mann, and he says, like they were trying to trade for me that 18-year-old year before Flin Flon got me. I think there was a deal done, but the one guy didn't want to go to North Battleford over. He wanted to stay in Melfort. So the deal didn't happen. And then I ended up going to Flin Flon. And then, so that 18-year-old year, we ended up playing, the Survivor Series best of 5 against the Mustangs. And game 1, I believe, they beat us in Melfort. And then game 2, it was just back and forth. So game 2, we ended up back in Flin Flon, and I think our line didn't get anything the first game, but I can remember that series like tomorrow, like yesterday. It was game 2. I ended up, I got a hat trick that game, and our line was awesome. We were buzzing, and and then game 3, we went back to Melfort, same thing. They beat us pretty easily. Game 4 came here, had another good game, and then we were going to Melfort game 5, and I can just remember that rink at the time. Like I don't even know how many Bomber fans we had at game 5, as Flin Flon hadn't really been in the playoffs for a few years, and it was only the Survivor Series, but we had quite a few fans there in Melfort there, and ended up getting a hat trick in game 5 to clinch the series and move on to play my old team, the North Stars. And then we ended up winning game 1 against the North Stars, and then it fell apart from there, and then they beat us 4 straight. So I was excited going into my 19-year-old year because we were all young. We had pretty much everyone back, but it didn't pan out, and it was quite a disappointing year. We didn't make the playoffs, and there was just a lot of stuff going on in the dressing room, coaches, you name it. So it was a perfect time for Regs to come in, and he's kind of taken over from the Flon program from there.
So in those games, I had to ask, was there a little bit of extra oomph behind those celebrations in those hat trick goals? Did you have any like memorable celebrations?
Oh, they always call it the Kubat pump, where I just go down and on kind of the one knee and just, give myself a big, like the big fist pump. I even did it with Hudson Bay Hunters, and it kind of same thing. I don't know why I get so excited for a goal, but I love playing and just love scoring goals, and just made sure I had a good celebration for it.
You remember any conversations with like the players or like anything with the coaches, like during the game, like maybe staring daggers at him after scoring a goal, like, oh, maybe I could have helped you guys on your playoff run, but not anymore?
Oh, I remember just, I don't know, Manor like playing against him. I played against him for years. Like when he was in Tisdale, I was in Moose Jaw. So I played against him in AAA, and then having that series, just, I don't know, he just brought the best out of me, because he was kind of like that fiery coach who you just hated at the time, and you just wanted to win so bad, and you knew he wanted to win, and it was quite a series there. So it was fun for sure.
And then you ended up getting to coach with him a few years later, which we'll get to in a bit, which is quite funny.
Yeah, you bet.
And you go to NCAA Div 3, after your time in Flin Flon. What kind of was the decision going there? Was there talk of staying in Canada? Like, what did you kind of want to do?
Yeah, it was funny. Even after my 19-year-old year, I just didn't have fun. And I always caution kids growing up, like I just played so much hockey, and like played that spring hockey and just played a ton. And I almost missed out and was feeling sorry for myself and missed out on other opportunities. And I didn't even know if I was 100% going to go play my 20-year-old year. And then I'm glad I did, because I had a great time, got to live with my old roommate again, and just, we had a really good team. So, and then, I ended up getting the scholarship to the States. So I kind of got a second win there, I guess, and started enjoying the game a little bit more again, and ended up going to the College of St. Scholastica there, and played there just the 1 year. We had a really good team that year. I think we lost in the semifinals in order to go to the Frozen Four there, or whatever it is now. I don't even know. But it was, I didn't play a lot. I guess I didn't like the practicing anymore. Like we'd be on the ice 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday. And it was just a lot. And I loved the guys. I loved the school. It was a small school. I loved the teachers and the programs I was in. And thankfully it was an academic scholarship. So I ended up staying there for my 4 years, and ended up actually being like the residential advisor, like your RA. So you had this wing of guys you had to look after, and ended up working at the wellness center as another part-time job. So it was nice. It ended up paying for all my schooling and that. So when I kind of got out of there, I had my degree, and I knew even when I was younger, like 14, 15, even maybe being younger, just, I knew I wanted to coach. I almost loved the systems and all the chess that go along with coaching, and that more than actually playing part. So I loved watching the games on TV and analyzing the games and things like that. So I knew it was something I wanted to do, but I just needed to make sure I had a plan B. Like I needed a degree. I didn't just want to go in at 20. I know I could have probably had an opportunity with Regs to just stay there and help out with him and be an assistant. But he even told me, hey, Dennis, go get a degree and then come back if you want. And just so you have something to fall back on if it doesn't work. So it worked out well, because like I say, I think coaching and teaching are the exact same thing. You got your group of students, your group of players, and you're kind of doing the same thing with them.
As an RA, as a residential advisor, did you have to lay the hammer down a couple times on some crazy college kids?
Oh God, Maddie, it was nuts. The worst thing in the States is like they're going to school and they're 18, 19, 20, and they can't drink till they're 21. So they have never really experienced party life. So we've had some crazy situations where the guys and gals were passed out in rooms where you had to deal with them and send them to the drunk tank or any little thing. I tried to like make sure when I was on shift that I would text the good guys like, hey, I'm coming in this apartment. So if you're loud, it's your own fault because I'm warning you. So they were usually pretty good and pretty quiet when I came in, and then I'd text them after I left. So then they could go get back at her. But so it was their own fault. So I didn't even get, like, they couldn't even get mad at me. I warned them and that. So, but there's a couple, situations like that. But for the most part, I did a good job of making sure they knew when I was coming to kind of save them a bit.
Hey, if you don't see it, right, you can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah, you betcha.
So you kind of talked about it, like when you wanted to become a coach, like, was there a moment where you were like, okay, I think I can actually become a coach and kind of do this at a high level?
When I moved to Hudson Bay, where I got my first teaching degree, I knew, like I said, I wrote it on a piece of paper by the age 33. My goal is to coach the Tisdale Trojans. I think I was 26 at the time, and kind of put in the time with like SHA, doing evaluations and going to weekend skills camps and doing the zone tournaments and the zone teams, and then just coaching the minor hockey teams in Hudson Bay. I think at the 3 years I was there, I coached the Pee Wee team a year, the Bantam team a year, and then the midget team a year. And then I was fortunate enough to transfer over to Tisdale and kind of just put my name in for the Wolfpack job, not knowing that they knew much about me or anything like that, and ended up, I think, interviewing pretty well and ended up getting that job. So that was a big eye opener for me and an unbelievable experience, to kind of know, hey, I can coach at the higher level, and kind of took off from there.
One thing that I looked at, if someone looks at your elite prospects, they'll see a huge stat line when you played for the Hudson Bay Hunters, which is senior hockey out here. What was playing the senior hockey days like? Was it just kind of a way for you to just kind of stay on the ice and just keep playing?
Yeah, it was like, I think when I was in the College of St. Scholastica, after my first year, my other 3 years, I think I maybe skated like 2 times in 3 years. Like, I just didn't enjoy it. I actually took up, like, I went to ball practices with the ball team there and did little things like that, or was on the intramural basketball team, kind of doing those sports that I didn't do at the time and had a chance to finally do. So when I came back to Hudson Bay, I kind of almost missed the playing part a little bit, and just an opportunity. I went there, I didn't know a soul, and I knew usually hockey guys can get along pretty good and can relate pretty well. So I ended up, going back and playing there for those 2 or 3 years that I ended up playing in Hudson Bay. And I just developed those relationships. And Hudson Bay reminds me a lot of the Flan, actually. Like, great people, love the community. Like, our 50-50s, our rink was packed. It was unbelievable. We were playing, like, my first year there, we were in the provincial final and we won the league. So we were playing like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of game. So it was a lot, but no, I really enjoyed my time there.
Now, one thing Maddie B kind of glossed over is like, yeah, you're playing senior hockey out there. You played in what I think is one of the best league names ever, the FLHL, which is the Fishing Lake Hockey League. Now, to me, that just sounds like, a tournament of a bunch of guys going out on ODR for a weekend. Like, oh yeah, we'll head down to Fishing Lake and play for a couple games out there. Was there any moment where it was like, oh man, the dream's accomplished? Gotta tell mom, hey mom, your baby boy made the Fishing Lake Hockey League.
Yeah, you betcha. And I could even tell mom and dad that the games were on the radio in Hudson Bay, so they could tune in and listen to us on the Fishing Lake Hockey League. No, it was a little bit of drive-in. I don't even remember all the teams in the league, but I know Kelvington, we played them, I think 15 times that year. It was ridiculous. The league wasn't that big, so you'd play all these teams and just develop these hate for them. And it's quite the name. And I really enjoyed the 2 years of playing there for sure.
So you jump on board with the Tisdale Trojans 2018, 2019. You're kind of your first taste with coaching with the Trojans. And that's the year that the guys were hosting TELUS Cup West Regionals. How cool was that?
Yeah, it's pretty lucky. I'm pretty fortunate to, like, with Soupy, Yonks, and Manor for letting me come on board with them. They didn't have to hire another guy. They had 3 already on the bench, and for them to give me the opportunity to come in and work with them. And like I said, I never really had that chance growing up. Like, I just took over the Wolfpack job, or I was the head coach of these teams in Hudson Bay. I never had the chance to actually, hey, now I can actually watch someone and learn from them a little bit instead of, hey, I'm the guy. So that was a great experience as well. And yeah, to be able to host and be able to, how it all went down, winning in overtime there in Tisdale in that front of that crowd, then going to Thunder Bay for a week, playing 7 games in 7 days and just soaking it all in, watching the other teams and just watching hockey for 7 days and just doing everything that comes along with it and just talking to people and just gaining experience that way. I'm pretty fortunate and I'm thankful that they gave me that opportunity to help out. And yeah, I learned a lot. And yeah, that bar is pretty high. I think at the time I was excited that we were going, but they're always like, I know Manor and Yonks and super like, hey, don't take this for granted. Like, it doesn't just happen every year. Yeah, it's your first year. Don't expect this just to, hey, it's just going to happen again. We waited a long time for this because they were pretty emotional and that. And so I think I did take it for granted a bit and like that way, but it was a pretty cool experience.
Like, how cool is that atmosphere? Like, I unfortunately didn't get to go see any of the games or experience any of the just the atmosphere of a TELUS Cup West Regionals on and off the ice. Just how cool was it to see, Tisdale be that bumping?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. The committee did an unbelievable job. They had bands every night. So it was 3 late nights for sure. And it was, it couldn't have really capped off in a better way. They score with, I don't know, like 20 seconds left to tie the game. And then we win it in overtime, like to go to the TELUS Cup. I don't think it could be scripted any better than that in front of your hometown. The rink is absolutely packed and it's bumping. Like, it's a perfect script. And it was it was awesome. And I was happy for the boys. They put in a ton of effort that year, especially losing the second round of the Blazers. We had a good little break there. So we did a lot of just training and a lot of tough practices and a lot of tough work. And it was a grind. So it all paid off in the end. And we just had a great group led by our captain there, Luke Arndt, and he, unbelievable leader, and just with his work ethic and his attitude. And he set the bar and the boys put in the effort, and I'm glad they got the reward they did.
Now, is that like up at the top of the list on like just favorite coaching moments you've had so far?
That one and the one when we beat the Blazers there, and as me being the head coach of the Trojans, beating them out in the first round of the playoffs was up there as well. But I think, yeah, the TELUS is definitely number one, but that Blazer one is close, just because I think it's your first year, you're the guy. And yeah, that one was tough. That was a good one as well.
Well, tell us about that Blazers series, because that was a roller coaster of a series. Like, the biggest one was the double overtime, and I believe it was game 2.
Yeah, well, frick, throughout the year, like, I think they spanked us 4 straight games. Like, they'd beat us all 4 games. And going into the first round, I was trying to, like, before it even got going, like, okay, maybe if they lose this game and we win this, we can finish ahead so we don't have to play them. But they ended up second, we ended up 7th. So at the time, I guess, yeah, I was nervous. It was going to be tough. And yeah, game one was double overtime. It was 1-0, I think, with about 2 minutes or maybe even less, and they tied it up, and we beat them in overtime. And that was the day there was a huge snowstorm too, and we couldn't even make it back. So we had to end up getting the hotel and staying the night, but I'm glad we won. So it was a pretty cool experience that way. So we were riding pretty high after game 1, and then game 2, I think we lost back in Tisdale like 8 rips. So it was like, yeah, it was short-lived, but then, yeah, we were fortunate to beat them in game 3 again in overtime. And yeah, game 4, yeah, had them 1-0 and then tied her up in the third and scored 2 quick ones after that. And yeah, that was another, the rink was bopping that day as well. The crowds we get and the support we get here in Tisdale is unbelievable. And that's why I try and tell our recruits, you can't really experience it until you're here, till you're in that small town atmosphere, till you come here and you're the role model, you're the guy, and you have all the kids looking up to you. When you walk around town, people know who you are. So it was pretty neat for our boys to experience that, especially going from the TELUS Cup. Probably going to be a rebuilding year. Good thing we were able to take a couple of our big time vets leading the way, like Trenton Curtis and Kalen Ukrainitz and Mackenzie and Mac there. So it was they kind of led, and our young guys kind of followed through and ended up having a big upset there.
Like how just once you win that series, it just feels like a monkey off your back a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like, okay, I can do this. I can coach in this league. I just didn't want to going in. I just was hoping that we would put up a fighting chance and didn't want to have those 8-0 games for 3 of them in a row. And winning game 1 was big. And I think just with our young guys getting that confidence, and our leaders really stepped up. And I think that experience the year before was huge, and it helped them a lot throughout that series. Those guys that are returning guys played a lot of minutes. They were tired. They played a lot and led us really well that series.
So buddy, a very good friend of mine, we'll call him a friend of the podcast as well. Aaron Schultz is a former reporter that used to work in this area and covered a lot of Tisdale Trojans games over recent years. I have to ask, best, or I guess maybe let's go to the worst interview question he's given you.
Oh God, I don't know.
Reaction to it.
I don't even know, Maddie, but I know
No?
like when he's doing an interview, like it takes him 2 minutes to get to the question. So he likes to have a little side story before he gets there. So I think every time I interviewed him, he always started, okay, I'm going to get better. I'm going to speed this up. And then after, he'd always ask, how was that? How was that? Was that good? Was that good? No, Schultz, he's a beauty. I'm going to miss him. He was a good time to just talk to on the bus, and just knew a lot about hockey, and he's a good guy to just joke around with. Yeah, he's going to be missed, but I'm happy for him that he's where he wants to be.
There's one interview that I was there for that I remember, actually. The next question interview, as I like to call it. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the question, but I remember saying next question.
Yeah, there's one where I think you said, I don't even know what to say next. I don't know what the game was or anything. I think you guys got spanked a little bit. And I had
all I remember from Schultz is when he was talking to me, or maybe in Manor, and we were together. I think it was me, Manor, and Schultz were talking, and we were talking about the spot opening in Tisdale, like the restaurant in Tisdale. And
great place, by the way.
Yeah, you betcha. And we were just talking about how it's opening, and then Schultz like, yeah, I talked to the news reporter, or I talked to the owner there. She's like, man, I should have did that interview in person, hey? And I was like, Schultz, that's my sister-in-law. You don't be treating her like that. So he went red, and it was pretty cool.
He tells that story a lot, because that is a funny one that I hear all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I enjoy that one. Woodsy, as a coach, do you have any questions for Dennis here? As a high level coach, because let's get real, I'm not that high level of a coach.
No, I don't think I'm like leaps and bounds higher than you.
No.
But yeah, just what do you feel was the biggest transition, like coming from an assistant coach to now running the team? Was it just like being the guy hands-on making the calls, or was there something else that you found was like a bigger challenge making that transition?
Yeah, I think especially my first year, like getting the respect from the guys, because as assistant, you're almost more of a buddy, kind of trying to pump them up, trying to be more of their buddy. And then when you take over, I think that was a tough change for some of our vets, being like, whoa, Dennis is a little different now than what he was, and just being the guy, and you kind of have to change maybe a little bit your personality that way. But yeah, that would have been a big change. And I'm definitely, just this only being my second year, I still have so much to learn, and just excited, and just taking this like quarantine time to really benefit and try and help our program and progress. And I think a lot of coaches are doing that. And I know, like, I go on the coach's site or podcasts and little things like that have really helped me. And I'm really excited to get going next year. As if you look at me as a first year coach to now, our systems and everything is going to be completely different. And I think it's just going to help our guys so much. And when it comes to development, as that's our goal, is to hopefully get them to that next level.
And is there anyone, whether it's, you know, someone who coached you, someone you've coached with, or just someone you've seen at any level who you try and like model your coaching style after?
Yeah, like I love how the Leafs play, Sheldon Keefe. I love Chris Lazary from the Saginaw Spirits. If you ever have to listen to his podcast on the Hockey Think Tank, unbelievable how he talks about development and how the Leafs play and how the Avalanche play, where they're all puck possession teams, and creativity, and it's okay to make mistakes. And I just want to allow our guys to feel comfortable and be able to play and be creative and not have to come to the bench and get ripped because they made a mistake. We want to have the puck. We want to make sure that we're being creative. We're tough to play against, but just making it fun and enjoyable and making their experience in Tisdale beneficial.
Actually, there's
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
So there's one guy that the podcast has in common with you, and Owen Ozar is a guy that you coached a little bit. He's a Saskatchewan boy. You coached him at some point. Do you have any good Owen Ozar stories that we should know to kind of connect all these interviews together?
Owen Ozar, I coached him. I think that was at like the Winter Games, or might even been a zone team. But Owen Ozar is an example of a guy I love by just looking how small he was and how successful he was as a player. Are guys that we want in our program. What was he, 5'6", 5'7", and he put up points. Guys we're looking at as, look how successful you were when you're 5'6", 5'7". You know you're going to grow. And at that age and at that height, you already have the hockey IQ, the vision, situational, and awareness to do all the things. And those are the exact guys that we want to recruit, are guys like Owen Ozar. Great personality, great kid, great family, and just those small guys that you know are going to grow and have already done well and just are creative. And like, look at what he's become. It's unbelievable.
And the last thing I wanted to ask here is, what does the kind of path ahead look like for you? Is your goal to, work your way up, maybe get a job in the SJ or something like that? Is it just the focus right now to do as good of a job as you can in Tisdale and solely focus on that? Or what's kind of the idea you have in your mind right now as far as your career goes?
No, for sure. Honestly, I got my dream job right now. Like, my goal is to be the coach of the Trojans, and I absolutely love teaching grade 9 here at our school. We got an amazing staff. My wife loves it here, starting a family here. I couldn't really be happier, and it would have to be something absolutely amazing to make me want to leave. It's at the end of the day, I get to do two things I love: coach and teach. And I couldn't be happier doing those. I love our program. I got huge goals for our program and expectations, and I know it's going to take time, but I have a sight set pretty high on what I want to accomplish here in Tisdale, and I'm happy to be here for the next 15, 20 years doing what I do here. I love working with younger kids. This age group is awesome to work with, and then I get the opportunity to work with a little bit of a younger age at school, so it keeps me young. And I enjoy both. And I've got my sights are set here for a while, and I'm 100% okay with that. I love the community and everything that Tisdale has to offer.
And actually, one thing we ask all of our guests on the podcast if they've got any stories, and usually it has to do with a trophy. We've heard a lot about different trophies and different stories about trophies, whether they float, any weird stories. So do you have any weird trophy stories? I know, Telus Cup West Regional Trophy. I don't know if you had any other trophies back in the day, but are there any good trophy stories that you have?
I got trophy stories. Well, it's not really a great story, but we do like the man tracker every year. So with the Mustangs actually told us about this. So each year it's called man tracker. So we go to like this farm, and these two guys literally have the horses. So they put us in the back of the horse trailer. We go out in the middle of the field, and they drop us off, and then they give us about 10 minutes, and then they try and track us down on these two horses. So each year you get the trophy if you win. So the goal the first year was myself and Smitty. They had to make sure that we got safe, made it back to the barrel. That was like 3K away. So we got the trophy that year. And then last year we had who did we had, I think it was our goalie, and I think it was the Lollikers, actually, the brothers, and they had to make it home safe. And they ended up making it home safe too. So we got the Man Tracker trophy still in our Trojan locker room for the last 2 years that says Tisdale Trojans Man Tracker champions. That's the Myers does that. What's his first name, Maddie?
Danny Myers.
Yeah, Danny Myers, unbelievable, and his partner. Yeah, they're awesome. The kids love it, especially you get these city guys out there that don't really know much about it. And now that we did it for a year, they're dressing in camo and dressing up and putting the eye paint on and everything, thinking they're cool. So this year coming up, or next year, I guess, we'll have to hopefully be a three-peat of the Man Tracker champions.
Did you have like the Camo Eye black on and stuff?
No, I didn't even know my first year what to expect. Like, I was like, oh my God, these guys are like freaking serious. They're freaking yelling in the bush and just like scaring the guys. And then they're just ripping on the horses trying to get you. So if they tag you on the horse, you're out. But yeah, so the second year I was a little more prepared, but Smitty wasn't there. And so it was just me, and I couldn't go alone. So we let 2 other guys, and I just filmed it, and we made a little video on our Twitter there of the experience.
I love that. The Man Tracker stories are great. Like, we've heard a few of them, and they're wild. Like, that is rural Saskatchewan for you, right?
100%. Yeah, you bet.
And one other thing, not hockey related, but you have built a little bit of a golf simulator during quarantine.
Well, I didn't build it. I just bought it. But
okay, well, you didn't have to. You had to put it together, I guess, right?
Yeah, you bet. Well, we got a pretty, like, we got about 3 or 4 teachers here that are pretty hardcore golfers, plus our coaching staff. So I guess last year I finally got some lessons from Ryan Danberg there in Melfort.
Yeah, and me too. Yeah.
Started to actually improve. So I I think I did like 250 rounds last year. It was pretty crazy. So I know this year with having a kid, I'll have to sweet talk the wife a little more, but it might be a little more tough to get that many rounds in. But yeah, so didn't go anywhere on any trips or anything. So ended up buying a simulator here that I set up in the garage. So now I just need to get a heated garage for next winter, and I'll be set.
Well, you're gonna be golden by the time like next summer rolls around. You'll be good, right?
Yeah, there we go, Maddie. Maybe I'll even invite you down.
Well, yeah, I'm waiting for the invite here, you know. Danny, I appreciate the time hanging out with us, telling some stories, telling us about your career. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this. Best of luck with the Trojans, and enjoy being a dad.
Yeah, you bet, you guys. No, I appreciate you having me on, and I love talking hockey, and nowadays you can't do much on a Friday night. So you gave me something to really look forward to once the little boy's in bed. So I appreciate it. And you guys take care as well.